Hello and welcome to a little bit of wellness. We are back, season two. Long time coming. It's been 2 years nearly. Very long time. Um, this podcast is very different. Normally, I have a guest on or something along those lines. Today is a lot different. It's just me, solely me. So you get to listen to my beautiful voice. Joke. For the next, I don't know how long. I'm hoping to keep it short and sweet, but knowing me, I normally try to keep things short and sweet, and it ends up being an essay. Anyone that gets voice notes from me, apologies again. So yeah, this podcast is very different for me, hugely, because normally I'm the one asking questions and I play the backseat role. Let them answer, give a brief comment, introduce the next topic, all those kind of things. Today you're learning my story. And it's weird, about a half an hour ago before I started recording this, I was very nervous, but there's something about when I start talking, I'm not as nervous or I start doing anything. So I'm actually okay right now, but maybe when I get into it a little bit further, could get a bit that way. So we'll see how it goes. First of all, I just want to go back before, I love how I push forward when I'm saying, anyone just listening to this and not watching, should be saying when I go back, should be bringing back. But anyway, got that one wrong. But yeah, I want to go back first before we go forward. So first of all, I basically want to say why I kind of started the podcast. And I suppose I did my undergrad in Tralee, IT Tralee. I did Bachelor of Science in Health and Leisure. And the main thing, I majored in wellness then my final year. And that's what I was into. I found it more than actually ever thinking that it's something I wanted. I suppose I was out for a year, had to take a year out, got a bad injury, and during that year I actually realised what mental health was. And then I decided, okay, I went back to college, and next thing, all these things on mental health, I was like, man, I can relate to that, holy shit. And yeah, from there I was like really interested in that kind of field. And I went through this in another podcast. My lecturer in the last episode of the first season was on, previous lecturer Trevor Dunn, shout out to you if you're listening. Yeah, he gave us an assignment and we had to record a podcast, and I just really enjoyed the process, and I was like, yeah, this is something I could see myself talking about. So I did. Another thing was, it really benefited me. So getting someone in, a like-minded person, not even a like-minded person, but someone that believes in doing positive things to help your life, and also coping with those negatives and finding best ways around doing all that. It really benefited me, because every new person you interact with, you learn something new, and it's fantastic. Like, just gives you a bit of purpose, a bit of meaning. We'll get into a lot of that later. But yeah, and I just felt, look, it's benefiting me, it might benefit the person that's on the show. And if it just benefited one other person that listened to it, I don't have a huge audience, don't want a huge audience. What am I saying? I have a huge ego. I'd love a huge audience. Please keep listening to me. But yeah, honestly, one other person, and a lot of the time it did. A lot of the time I was getting a message, and it might be one person, there could be 3 people, it could be 4 people, it could be whatever it would be. But they would say, I needed that today or whatever. And that's huge. That's absolutely massive. So yeah, that's why I started the podcast. So that's taking it back a couple of years now. Going on from there, I suppose the reason I stopped, I've asked myself that question a lot of times, and I can't tell you a definite answer. I presume a lot of factors played a part. Personal life, couple of things happened that I was like, don't really want to do this at the moment, but I was only going to take a brief break. That break became longer because of other things. You hear a lot of people that get online trolls, like comments online from people underneath doing these things when you put yourself out there and stuff. For me, it was the opposite. I wouldn't get any negative publicity online. Nobody would be sending me like horrible messages or anything like that. I got them in person a lot of the time, quietly in person, as in if I was out having a drink with a few of my friends, excuse me, someone would pass a comment to me. Now, some would be discreet about it, others would say it while I'm passing by. Some people had conversations with me about it, and I was like, it's just all those little things play in your head. They always say you can have 10 positive comments, 1 negative. That negative you'll always remember. And they stuck with me a little bit. And yeah, I think that played a part. Numerous other things played a part. It wasn't why I stopped in the first place, but why it took me so long to come back to it was probably a combination of all those factors. So a little background of me at the moment. I've moved up to Dublin. Hence why I don't look really pretty today if anyone that's watching. I don't have my usual cameras and all that. I have my basic stuff, my ring light, just my laptop camera. Shocking, it's the oldest laptop in the history of recording podcasts, I presume. But anyway, yeah, so I'm up in Trinity in Dublin, Trinity College Dublin. I'm doing a master's in psychoanalysis. The reason I did that master's was, a lot of it was to do with status, actually, because I wanted to get a job that, like, I don't know. It's kind of like, I did an undergrad, but it wasn't in any specialist kind of area, and I was like, I really want to specialise in a master's and have that kind of extra little bit when it comes to going for a bigger job in future, maybe. And I fell out of love with just being that gym instructor kind of thing, coaching teams and stuff. Like, it's grand, I love doing it, but it wasn't giving me enough satisfaction. So I just decided, look, yeah, let's go for something different. And I really wanted to become a therapist. But having done the course, I actually know that I couldn't be one. It's not that I don't want to be one, it's the demands of being a therapist. I'm not cut out for it. So I'm doing this course. It's still going to be a pathway into something else. That's why I'm not just going to quit. Like, I'm going to finish it out, hopefully, fingers crossed, and we do get through it. So I've another, 5 months maybe left to go, finished in the end of July or so. So 4 months. Yeah, that's not too bad, not too long. So yeah, I'm living up here at the minute, and I wouldn't say enjoying that because I haven't been, but I'm getting through it, which is the most important thing. So yeah, that's a little background of what I'm doing right now. I'm actually on cue to keeping this short and sweet, so it's not too bad. So why I'm bringing this back, I spoke about meaning and purpose earlier, and that has an awful lot to do with it. I've been struggling to find meaning and purpose lately. I started a diary recently. I'm going to read my first diary entry. Started at the end of February. Haven't been doing it a lot lately, but that's another story. But yeah, I'm just struggling to find meaning and purpose in my life, and I felt this was, like I said earlier, it was a positive thing for me. If I can get other guests on, previously I'd asked a lot of people to come on season 1 of the show that I never got around to. I got through 11 or 12 people, whatever it was. And excuse me, not using my voice that often lately, and shouting at Hearst at Cheltenham does not help. But yeah, so it's just a positive flow of energy. Do you know, it's a real positive platform, I find. And even though I do get negative comments about it, I think I've built up enough like strength to actually deal with those, I think, from now on. So it's something I really wanted to bring back. For me, first of all, I know that's a bit selfish, but also, again, if you can get that one other person, huge. Brilliant. So this is probably the part of the podcast that I'm probably most fearing, and that's why I took a pause a second ago. The reason probably I've been lacking a lot of meaning and purpose in my life lately is a dark one. And first of all, before I go into the story, I'm going to try and show as a little emotion as I can with this and just say it, because I think if I show emotion, I'll struggle to get through it. I don't want that. So yeah. Forgive. Sorry, my voice is a terror today, and I'm still just going to put out this because I'm not one of those for editing too much. But yeah, it's one that I'm just going to speak out about, say it, get it out there to the world, however 5 of you listen to this or whatever it is. But it's going to be a tough one to get through. I just want anyone to know that has dealt with anything like this in their family, friends and stuff. I don't mean any offence when I'm talking about it. I think it's good to talk about it. I think it should be encouraged a bit more. And yeah, so I'm just going to get into it because I could be stalling around it all day long. So in October of last year, so 2022, it was the week, actually we get a reading week in Trinity, and it was the week we finished and we went out for a class party. Very enjoyable, really enjoyed the night. It was a great night, and I wasn't even drunk or anything like that, to be totally honest. But we went to a nightclub afterwards, and it's like a switch flipped in my head. And I was just like, I need to get out of here. I couldn't explain why, but I was like, I need to get out of here. And it wasn't just out of that nightclub. It was like out of this world completely. It was just like such a build-up of everything. I was feeling the course wasn't going so well. I wasn't enjoying it. I was like, I've invested so much money into this. I've done X, Y, and Z. I've tried to put a plan in place for my life, and now I feel like it's not working. I don't like it. And I felt like I just no way out, really. And it was like I could not see anything past it. I said to my friend, he's my best friend up here in Dublin at the moment. I do the course. So I just said to him, I was like, dude, I need to leave here. And he was like, he knew there was something wrong, but I suppose we'd only known each other 6 weeks or so. So he wasn't going to push me too much in it. But I left, and I left with the intention of doing one thing and one thing only, and that was taking my own life. And I left the nightclub and I walked towards O'Connell Bridge basically near the River Liffey, and I told myself that unless somebody, and these are all strangers, imagine putting your life in the fate of strangers. I told myself, unless somebody tries to stop me here, I'm just going to go and do this. But consciously as well, I was hoping someone would stop me, which is the weird thing. So I don't know if I ever would have went through with it, but I walked all the way there, was literally standing up to go and do what I had intended on doing. But some random stranger that seemed pretty much drunk himself literally just caught my arm, and he was like, man, you don't want to do that. And that was enough. Just that. It was like somebody cared enough, even though I didn't even know who he was. Didn't even get his name. I was in such shock and such, I can't explain the actual feeling, but you're just totally, it's like you're not even on the planet anymore when you get to that stage. And yeah, I didn't do it, but I had every intention of doing it, but also I probably thank God for this more than anything. Like fate's a big thing for me, but I also had like something looking over me to say, slow down, don't rush this, and wait and hope that somebody is there. I still don't know, would I have actually, I don't know, I hate putting it this way, but would I have had the balls to do it? I don't think that's the right way of putting it, but I think I was in such a headspace that I don't exactly know what I was capable of doing, so it just was a weird one, really. But yeah, it's really hard to explain. The best way I can put it is, even the day, like, I was in such shock for the whole week afterwards. The whole week afterwards bypassed me so freakishly. It was like I still did my I didn't really, I hid in the room most of the time, to be totally honest, but obviously you have to eat to survive, and I had to go out and get shopping and things. And I remember going to the shops, and it was like the world was going on around me, but I was totally numb to it. It was like people were just passing by me, but I wasn't on the same planet as them. It's like, I don't know, that I was a ghost, literally, as in I was just visiting planet Earth, but everyone else was living their life, whereas I was just there, but not actually living. I know that's hard to picture, I don't know if you're getting a grasp on that or not, or what it's like, but it's freakish, really, to be totally honest. And yeah, that's how I was feeling. Numb is the best way I can describe it to you. Nothing feels, it's like you don't feel anything. It's just total numbness to everything. But yeah, then after a week or so passed, I sort of just kind of realised, I told one person about it at this stage. He's my best friend. He knows who he is. I don't need to name him. And we talked about, and he knew there was something up, and I had to go home actually a couple of weekends later. It was my dad's 60th. But I got the wherewithal to email. I remember the first week of college, I went to orientation, actually. Jeez, what a good student. But I went to orientation. It wasn't mandatory, and I remember they gave like details of like help for students and stuff like that coming up to exam time or whenever you need it during the year. And I actually, I just had such an open mind as to who I am as a person lately, that I took all the details in. I tried to be open to everything, and I look back in my, I took notes for orientation, and I look back at my notes, and I remember seeing the email address for therapy for students, and I emailed them, and they get you to fill out a questionnaire, kind of standard kind of procedure. And I remember, they told me before I ended out the questionnaire, look, there's a 3-week waiting list. And after I filled out the questionnaire, whatever I answered in it, I don't remember even what it was, but they emailed me the next day and said to come in. So obviously I was lucky that that was the case, and I I finished therapy last week. It'll be 2 weeks by the time I've this out. It was last week, in terms of, it was the 21st of March, I think it was, that I finished therapy. Yeah. No, sorry, 23rd of March. So yeah, I went through to therapy. Therapy was weird. It was one of those things that I kind of, very open to it, but I wouldn't say I was difficult in it. I probably was difficult. I don't know. But I couldn't fully open up in it, really. But I remember I felt anger, a lot of anger, and I hadn't been angry in years, and I didn't know how to deal with anger. And I don't know what I was angry at. I was just angry. And it was just a really weird feeling. But yeah, therapy really helped me. I think I would have been lost without it. It was like someone just to talk to, and them not knowing you, and just being it. Like, I could have said anything to her, and she really wouldn't have cared. Like, it just would have been, yeah, that's grand, John, we'll talk it through and whatever. Or we didn't have to talk it through. I kind of had control of it all, which was great, really. But yeah, I went therapy. I remember, all I can remember is we brought up things in the last, say, 4 weeks of therapy. So I went therapy from the start of November, maybe the end of October, the last week of October, until as I said, 22nd or 23rd of March. And I remember we brought up things in the last, say, 5 weeks of therapy that happened in the first 6 or 7 weeks, and I was like, who the hell is that person? I was like, did I really say that? Did I really feel like that? It was like an alter ego almost. It was like, that was not me. This is me now, but which really is me? It's like you're second guessing everything. But then I kind of learned to accept that that's part of me too, and that's okay, and that's kind of where I got with it, really. I'm talking a small bit of riddles now. I suppose I said I'd show no emotion, but the emotion that I'm kind of keeping in is getting me a little bit flustered and talking not in the sequence that I wanted to talk in. But yeah, so therapy really helped me in ways, and yeah, I probably wouldn't be here without it, being totally honest, because I remember that time was the darkest period of my life, really. So yeah, I've told people since, only 6 people know. I remember going down for, well, everyone, whoever wants to know will know now, but I remember going down home, and I'd only told my best friend at this stage, but I had told my therapist I'm going to tell my parents. And they were actually, my therapist was kind of at the point, she was like, Pádraig, you know that I'm now at a real close point that I actually might need to use an emergency contact of yours unless you can show me. And it kind of hit me. I was like, no, I really want to tell them myself. And I was like, no. And it kind of snapped me out a small bit of where I was. And she was only doing her job. Like, she was just saying, look, I don't feel comfortable with you being on your own in any situation right now, so I might need to contact someone. So I'm going to give you a week before our next session. And it wasn't about me telling them. It's just, you need to show a bit of progress or whatever, or before. And it's just for your own sake. I was like, fine. But I'd intended on telling them anyway. And I remember I sat the 2 of them down. And I told them, and I didn't want to ruin it. It was my dad's 60th birthday weekend, so I didn't want to ruin it. And I just told him, look, just don't worry about it. I'm okay, and I will be okay. And the fact I'm already telling you at this early stage, the fact I'm able to communicate it with you, means I'm keeping you in the loop, which is important. So I was like, just try and treat me as normally as possible. The biggest thing I feared was that they were going to walk around eggshells on me. And I didn't want that. I was like, no, just please don't do that. And the last thing I just said to them was, just trust me. And they did. They were actually fantastic about it. I always had these fears, anything along mental health, stuff like that. And modern, it's more brought into life modernly that you're able to do these things and talk about them. I just felt they wouldn't understand and all that, but they were actually unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable. I can't thank them enough for how they dealt with it, how they approached it, how they just respected what I wanted, and were still there for me at the same time. You can't ask for more than that. So yeah, I told them, and that weekend went okay, bar a bit of a hiccup. On the Friday night, I remember my therapist told me, don't drink. She was like, I'm begging you, don't drink, and I ended up drinking for the whole weekend. And the Friday night I got a bit of a scare. And his party was Saturday night, but then I kind of took it easy, and I was like, it kind of woke me up more than anything. And yeah, it was kind of then being with my family and being with people around me that I knew were part of who, like a lot of my loved ones and stuff like that. I kind of realized that actually I really don't want to kill myself, even though I'm still not in a good headspace, if you get me. So yeah, that's kind of where I was. But yeah, I told them. I didn't tell my sister because I knew she was after moving into her new house, stuff like that. So I left her out of it until Christmas. I told her at Christmas when kind of things settled down a little bit and I was in a much better place. And yeah, that was when kind of all my family knew, and 2 other people also know that I told as well, and they're important in my life. One close friend and another close person in my life. But yeah, I'm a small bit flustered, so I sincerely apologise. Yeah, it's just when you talk about this, and this is the first time that I've spoken openly about the whole story. It's a little bit, I don't know how to describe it. It's a little bit, I'm very raw as well as a person. I don't like record a podcast. This isn't live, I know, or anything, but it might as well be. I might as well have went live, because I ain't gonna edit this or anything like that. I just prefer to be real, and I actually learned about an app called Be Real yesterday, and I've never even heard of it. Yeah, I'm not on Be Real or anything like that, but it might as well be, if you get me. So yeah, so apologies for going a little bit off track and a little bit all over the place with this, but even though I said I'd show no emotion, inside it's kind of pulling at me a little bit. So yeah, that's kind of why. But I suppose moving on to now, and the place I'm not near where I used to be. I'm still a shell and a shadow of that person that I look back on 2 years ago, maybe, or a year ago. A year ago is more accurate, really. I was really focused, really goal driven, really kind of like content, bouncy, knew what I wanted, like not necessarily knew what I wanted for long term, but just like had that pep in your step, you know what I mean, and that real something about you, like, and that's kind of just gone a bit, and it's just, I'm still a little bit, I don't know, just I don't feel me 100%, but I'm hoping by doing something like this, doing other positive things, that will come again. So I spoke about a diary entry that I started. Now I went to Cheltenham, as everyone knows, because I overflooded my social media with Cheltenham, but trust me, it was the best week of my life, so I don't really care if it overflowed or not. But yeah, so I went to Cheltenham, so I haven't written on this since before Cheltenham, which is really bad, but I'm going to write on it today. I'm confident of that after this, probably this evening. But I want to share with you the first diary entry I wrote. I'm not going to share them all because it'll take too long. But this is the very first one. So it was the 25th of February 2023. And sorry, no, I don't want to get this on the camera or anything, but I'm just going to have to put it in front of me. So I don't say Dear Diary or anything like that, by the way. I just think that's a little bit, anyone that does it, sorry, it's not stupid. I was going to say it's stupid, but whatever you want to do, go and do it. But so yeah, it starts basically like this. It's hard to know what to write here. I'm at a crossroads, one that I always knew was coming, but I continue to suppress. I'm sat here on a Saturday night watching a GAA game that I've no interest in. Things just don't seem to have the same meaning anymore. In fact, they don't. I don't enjoy things. It's like I want more. I need more. I guess I'm hoping by writing this, and hopefully many more, that it will help me find what I'm looking for. Is life simply as unhappy as it seems for so many people? I'd like to think there's something more out there. I'm in a spiral, but there are those so much more worse off than I am. Although this may sound selfish, this is for me. I believe I have something inside me. Something different. Something very powerful, actually. I don't want things to be easy. I just want to have a purpose. Something real. I talked to God for the first time in a while today. It was like a weight fell off my shoulders. Even for that few minutes or however long it lasted, it was worth it. I've been drawn a few times towards my phone while writing this. I've managed to pull away before it takes over. We are so connected, but so isolated all at the same time. It's absolutely crazy. Do I believe things will get better? I do. I still believe in me. But lately I've realised I need help. The people around you are so important. I don't know if I have what it takes to take the lonely road anymore. I promised myself I'd fill this page after the first 3 lines. Now I'm worried that 1 page isn't enough. But there'll be other days. More pages. I leave with this. Write a short story every week. It's impossible to write 52 bad ones. So, there you go. That was from the 25th of February. I'm going to say, 25th of February. So that was my first diary entry. I've only written in the diary maybe 7 times, I think. I skipped a couple of days here and there. I was tired, or maybe long days or whatever, and no excuse, but it's kind of it's a good outlet for me. But since I came back from Cheltenham, I haven't written it at all. And the week before I didn't either, because literally all I did was spend my life watching Cheltenham previews, as everyone knows that knows me. But yeah. Then there was Cheltenham. So coming back from Cheltenham was something that I really had feared for a long time, ever before I went. I was conscious of it. I was thinking, even the week I was over there, even when I came home that weekend, it was in the back of my mind always that next week is going to be absolutely hell. That's what I was afraid of. I feared actually that I was going to go into a worse place than I was in October, November. Particularly October. I really did. I felt it was going to be even worse than that. And I said to my therapist last week in the last session, I felt that even acknowledging that and thinking about it, and it's like even telling myself, preparing, it was like I prepared myself for it almost, that, whoa, this is going to be bad. Like, it's like acknowledging that something could be bad. It's almost like I built it up so much in my head that it could not be worse than I imagined. Maybe, and I talked there about always suppressing being at a crossroads and always like knowing it's going to come, but always pushing it away. Sometimes not pushing it away, sometimes letting that in and dealing with that bad stuff. Like, we always don't want to do it. We always put our walls up. We always put defenses up. I'm guilty of it more than anybody. I act like everything's okay all the time. And all I do is keep pushing things and pushing things and pushing things until the next thing it hits you like a ton of bricks. You're like, holy shit. Like, instead of taking them one at a time, we end up pushing them all, and next thing they all come at once, and it again becomes like totally overwhelming and stuff. And I feel like that's been kind of the circle of my life for a long time, that I've never dealt with things when they come. I've always pushed it away, said, no, I'm happy now, I want to stay happy. And then they all come together, and just like nobody can deal with that when they all come together. So yeah, I think it just helped that I isolated that one situation. I was like, yeah, you need to prepare for this. This is going to be bad. And no matter what it was going to be, it couldn't be that bad. No, I can't take all the credit, because it wasn't just me. I'm really lucky to have someone in my life right now that every single day she's just there. And I can't describe it. I can't go into too much detail. It's kind of new. But every day. And she believes in me all the time too, and that's just huge. It's like knowing somebody's there. It's massive. And I think last week, I've thanked her I think about 1 million times, and she's sick of it now. But without her last week, I would have been I was good last week, which is crazy to think. Not like the week I came back from Cheltenham, that is, this will go out a week later than I'm recording it, but it was last week when I'm recording it now. And it was actually a good week. And to imagine the week before, what I was thinking about the week was going to be, for it to be a good week is just crazy. So I'm blessed, really. So it just goes to show how much the people around you, how important they are. And the worst thing I did was I shut a lot of them out last October when that happened. it wasn't by choice either, though. It was just more because I was totally numb and I just wasn't capable. I felt like I was not capable of having conversations. I could not speak to people. I could not type a message. I did with one friend, but that's because I know that conversation is always so relaxed and it's just we get each other so well that I could talk to him no matter what. The others, like, I wasn't just so sure about. I was like, I just didn't, I can't describe it. It's just I knew that I could talk about anything. Like, I could talk about positive stuff, like just have a laugh with him, even though I wasn't capable of having much of one. But it was just, I don't know, it was just comfortable, and it felt comfortable. But the others, I pushed away completely. But one thing I have realised is not to push them away, because some of those people that you actually push away end up being the people that you need the most. So yeah. I guess I spoke earlier as well. I'm nearly done now, I swear. Most of my pods are an hour, so I technically am keeping it short and sweet. I wanted to keep this about a half an hour. It's going to be a bit over that, but I'm actually happy enough. I talked earlier about meeting my family down and being around my loved ones down in my dad's party and stuff. And yeah, that was a huge kind of thing. But the bigger thing was when I looked at the bigger picture, not just that evening and stuff. I looked at things that I'm going to miss out on, and I think about why I'm still here. Because I had those thoughts for a long time after I went that night, and they lasted a long time. I haven't had them. I do get them up and down, but they're never definitive. They're always, even lately, they're always brief second, and then it's like, no, Park, you actually don't want to do that, and that's firmly where I am. And I'm happy to be there as well. Like, it's huge for me. But back to what I was saying, like, I think of things that I'm going to miss, and I think of the impact it's going to have on those people. I'm not saying that I'm that important. I'm not saying that I'm important. I'm not saying anything like that. But I'm just saying, like, I have my sister's wedding to go to in a couple of years. I'm going to give you a public congratulations here. I haven't given you a public one yet. But yeah, like, I have that to go to, and like, I am so proud of her. Like, unbelievably proud of her. It's just to think of the life she's building for herself, to think of how far she's come as a person, a human being, as a sister, as everything. Like, I don't want to miss out on that, you know. I just don't. And think of having her wedding and stuff like that, being in her future and all those kind of things. Like, they're huge milestones that I just don't want to miss out on. I got to go with my best friend to Cheltenham. Like that is just unbelievable. Those kind of things. And I have so many more things that I want to do that I don't want to miss out on them. And like, we're blessed. We're just so, I don't want to curse or anything on this. It's important. But we're so effing blessed to be here. It is unbelievable. I always say it. So yeah. I have so much love for a small circle of people, but the love there is huge. And yeah, it means you got something worth living for, you know. It means you got something worth fighting for, and that's just something I can't explain, and just something to hold on to. Think of the people that, if anyone is going through this or has went through this or it does go through that in the future, think of the people you got. And even if that time you don't think you have them, trust me, they are there. Like, they really are there. So don't ever forget that. I'm going to wrap up. I don't have much more to say. Say hi to mom and dad, because I know they're on social media. So hi mom, hi dad. But yeah, I'm gonna just acknowledge this. I still have the fear of the future. I'm in a course that I don't want to do the job that I could get out of this course. So I'm like, Jesus, I actually don't know what I'm going to do in 4 months' time when this is all over. I have no idea. That scares the hell out of me. But the fact that before, instead of letting that scare the hell out of me, I was just pushing it away and saying, no, I'm happy where I am now. I'm allowing that feeling happen. It shows, I think, maybe how far I've come through therapy and through everything. I'm not endorsing therapy or anything like that. I'm not going to become a therapist. As of right now, that could change, don't get me wrong. So I'm not trying to promote my own business or anything like that by saying that. But that is something that I did work out, was actually dealing with feelings when they come up are important. I know we can't always do it, but if you can, if you feel you've got the strength to do it, deal with them. And at the moment, that's something that I'm dealing with. I'm afraid of my life and my future, but I'm actually okay with it because I can recognize the emotion. I can recognize that it gives me enough anxiety to know that I'm probably going to fight for it, which is all I can ask for. And yeah, so I'm just hoping that doing this again, I'm not going to say find my way back because I don't want to go backwards ever. So instead I'm going to say doing this again might help me find my way forward. And that's all I can hope for. So yeah, that pretty much wraps season 2 episode 1 up. Yeah, bit of a heavy one maybe. I don't know. Was for me a small bit, especially during the middle there. I lost my way a bit. But even in my own life, when I did lose my way, I found my way back a bit. And now I'm going to hope and try and find my way forward, like I said. So anyone that did listen, thanks for listening. I hope it didn't strike chords with any people that have been involved in anything like this. If it did, please just know that if anyone needs a conversation after listening to this or anything, or even generally in life, I always say that I'm there. Even if you're not a great friend of mine, if you do need someone to talk to, I will 100% talk to you. That's one thing I will always maintain. So yeah, and that's the one thing I like to promote in this podcast. You didn't get tips for wellness like normally are there. It was a different type of podcast, but that is my story, and maybe you know more about me now after listening to that. So yeah, thanks for listening, guys. Have a good week and probably a weekend because this will probably be out on Thursday. So thanks so much and goodbye.